What's going on, guys? It's PokePond back with another video for you. We got lots to talk about today. We've got 3 new sets coming out in Japanese in 2025. I'm going to show you some previews of all of that, exciting things to come. And as always, we're going to be having a look at the sealed market, what I would put my money into, what's moving around in prices. Everything's going a bit crazy over the Christmas period. Make sure you subscribe down below to never miss an opportunity. Let's get into it. Right, as always, let's start off with the news in the hobby. We have basically 4 sets confirmed for the Japanese release schedule for 2025, which is actually crazy that we kind of know all of these up front now. And as what usually goes with Japanese packs, usually they get combined into English sets, so this is going to give us a really sort of good view on what's going to be coming out English wise over the next sort of 12 months. So in January, we are getting battle partners in the for a full Japanese release. This is what the booster pack looks like. We did know that this was coming out for a little while, but we'd only seen this booster pack, and it's going to go along the similar sort of lines as sort of like the gym challenge sets and whatnot, where you have player-owned Pokemon cards. Here's an example of one that's going to be coming out. It's Ends Reshiram. So we're expecting to see a lot more chase cards within this set from basically sort of players within the Pokemon universe and their specific owned Pokemon, which is really cool. It's obviously a mechanic that's been in the hobby for a very long time. Things that sort of come to mind is sort of like the Lieutenant Surge's Raichu and stuff like that, some of the really old cards. So it's really cool that we're going to see this sort of coming back to some of our sets, and I'd love to see a really big sort of English release set for this that's not a holiday set. I believe it probably will be a holiday set when it comes into English. Here's another look at one of the other cards. This is one of Marnie's cards, which is going to be the Grimmsnarl EX, which is really cool as well. And we can also see, what else can we see? Lily's Clefairy, which is really cool that that's all coming back. So that's coming out in January in Japan. If I had to guess for it coming over to English, it's usually a few months later, so we'll probably see that as sort of like our spring release in English. Again, probably going to be a holiday set. The next on the schedule, we've got 2 sets coming out in March and April for Japanese. It's going to be Heatwave Arena and the Glory of Team Rocket set. So one of them is probably going to become a mainline set in English. I presume Heatwave Arena will probably become a mainline set, and that's going to have a level X card confirmed. There's a trainer card which is also a level X as well. Pretty interesting. I can't wait to see what the full sets are going to be like. A full level X set of chase cards could be really big. And then we get Glory of Team Rocket as well, which unfortunately I think is going to be a holiday set. We can see one of the cards already, which is going to be well, it's been confirmed that there's going to be a Rocket's Mewtwo in there. That's all we know that's in there. They did mention that there's not going to be dark Pokemon in there like we originally thought. We were hoping to see sort of the return of the Hollow Dark Blastoise, that kind of thing. Perhaps a Dark Charizard, but not going to happen. It's all going to be based around like Rocket specific Pokemon, so it'll be Rocket's Mewtwo, etc. That is going to be coming out in April, I believe. Let's have a look. Yes, April, Glory of Team Rocket. Heatwave is going to come out in March. And then in June, sometime in June, the Japanese are going to get a full other mainline set called Black Bolt and White Flare. I expect this to tie in with perhaps a remake and remaster of the Black and White games, probably for Switch. So that's really interesting. Just like they've done with the previous other gens, it would really make sense to do a full sort of black and white set to come out at the same time that the games come out. Again, really, really cool. I expect that to become a full mainline set in English, probably end of summer, probably August sort of time release in English, but obviously as soon as I get more information I'll let you know. Anyway, let's have a look at some of the price movements in sealed this week, because we haven't done it for a week or maybe 2 weeks. So let's just look at the big boys. I'm not going to go through everything. I'm just going to go through some of the more significant price rises over the last week and have a quick little talk about it. We made a video a few weeks ago about Evolving Skies at pretty much 1,000 a box. You can see that it is just creeping up on the graph here. It's just continuing to creep up week on week on week. It's pretty much been hovering around the $1,000 mark with about a 5% swing over the last couple of weeks. You can see that there's 2 sold here on the 19th, which was 2 days ago, for $1,000 on TCG Player. More recently, there's one for like $920. Here's one for $960. So you're seeing about a 5% swing here and there. Obviously, with just people dumping and taking profit, etc. Looks like the cheapest right now is 1,000. Ignore the shipping price at the bottom. The shipping price is just estimating sending it to me here in the UK. Obviously, if you live in the US, you're going to pay about $1,000 a box. And here in the UK, it's actually so much cheaper at the moment, which is interesting. I think that the UK market is really sort of trailing behind the US market when it comes to Evolving Skies. It is at £729 at the moment, which is actually seems pretty cheap considering how much the US market is starting to pull ahead, and we're at about $1,000 a box in the US. $729 looks very cheap to me, and I would imagine that it's never going to get cheaper than that. I would think that a lot of this $729, $730 is people just dumping and taking profit. People that bought in at around about 500 or below a box, so they're just happy to take whatever profit they can at this stage. They're not in it for the long haul. 729 I think is very decent. I could see it having a very good year next year and easily be twice the price by this time next year. We could be around the 1,300, 1,400 mark by then. I think the US market is going to be ahead of that as well. You can see that last sale, so this is what I'm talking about people dumping and taking profit. Buy it now, $650. That's so cheap. Whoever scooped that up in the UK yesterday, someone got an absolutely crazy bargain with that. I haven't actually looked it over to see if there's rips or tears or seals or anything. It says mint in the title. Always look at the photo. So, but from the first photo, just having a little look at it, it does look pretty nice. $650. With a little bit of postage, it's so cheap. You can see that just a few days ago, look, here's one going for $750, so £100 discount. Just keeping an eye on things. Christmas is a very interesting time on eBay. You notice that there's a lot less people selling because people don't want to go through the hassle of listing and posting at this time of year. Obviously, there's a lot of disruptions with postal services. Me personally, I'm not really listing anything for the next couple of weeks, and I'm also not really buying anything either. But after seeing this morning how this person sniped an Evolving Skies box for sub 660, well, it's 660 with postage basically. That's absolutely crazy. Maybe I should be buying stuff, maybe I should be keeping an eye on eBay. But like I said, with Christmas, it's an interesting time. There's less people selling, so there's less demand. So that can mean one of two things. Either one, prices get artificially inflated because there's not as much supply there to meet the demand, or vice versa. You can get crazy deals like this, $650 for a box, just because there's not many buyers there. He did put it on a buy it now though for that price, so he was obviously just happy to take his profit. I always think it's interesting what you see in the background of people's photos as well. You can see he's got a 151 binder in the background there. That always gives me a little bit of a reassurance that you're getting a little bit more of a legit product. You know, this person has clearly bought into other Pokemon retail stuff in the past. So just really interesting. I don't include any of that in the background of my photos, and I'm not saying that you should always go buy that if you can see other Pokemon stuff. It's just interesting for me to see that. And without looking more at the photos or the description, if there's nothing else wrong with that, I mean, he's got 4 positive feedback, all at 100%. 4's not great when you're buying something so expensive for a suspiciously low price, but hey, I think someone got an absolute bargain there. So there are bargains to be had out at Christmas, but equally, some of the stuff is like overinflated in price as well, and I'm going to go into that in a minute. I just want to really quickly talk about Surging Sparks. I tend to focus a lot more on this channel about sort of price movements in sealed around the Sword and Shield era, just because all of that's out of print now. So they're more sort of safer investments, and they're really starting to creep up in price now. However, we do personally keep an eye on Scarlet and Violet, particularly when there's supply issues or it just starts shooting up in price. Surging Sparks is one of those products where it just seems like the US market can't keep up with the demand, so that's why we're seeing some of these crazy graphs right now. Surging Sparks, for those that don't know, is the most recent set to come out in English, so it's very unusual that you can that you have to pay over MSRP or retail price for such a new product. There's usually lots of it about, but it just can't meet the demand. Everyone wants this set. Is selling like hotcakes in the US, and that's why you're seeing this big run up in price. Do I think it's a good investment for this price? No. You are taking an incredible amount of risk if you're buying in these booster boxes. Let's have a look at last sales figures. 217 retail on this, I believe, is about $165, so you're already looking at 40, 50, 60, about $60 over MSRP for a product that is brand new and will almost definitely get reprints. Once it gets reprinted, it just depends on how much it gets reprinted. If it can get reprinted more than the demand and waves of it just keep coming, then the price will crash down, which is why it's so much of a dangerous tactic to invest in it at this price. However, it might pay off. They might just keep reprinting it and it doesn't meet demand and it will just continue to go up in price. That is also possible as well. You just run a massive risk with Scarlet and Violet, particularly brand new sets, because they are the most likely to get reprinted. I'm sure the Pokemon company is scrambling to print more of this product right now, because at the moment it's just printing money for them. As soon as they sell it, or as soon as they sort of distribute it out to wholesalers, etc., it's just getting snapped up like hotcakes. So we're keeping an eye on Surging Sparks. Like I said, it is just continuing to climb up in price because it's outweighing the demand, the supply. So we'll keep an eye on it, but it is very risky to buy into it. You can see that last sale in the US is a buy it now from this morning for $200, so it is selling for that kind of price range, which is kind of crazy. I mean, great if you picked that up for, I saw pre-orders before release for way below MSRP, 20-30% below MSRP, so you're up maybe 50-60% if you had some of those. Very interesting to see such a modern set have such a scalp on it and such a burn and turn. Here in the UK, not so much, and this is again why you really have to be careful in the US. We still have lots of boxes here in the EU for retail price, £140 just on eBay. I'm not talking about going through wholesalers or Pokemon Center or anything like that. We can just pick them straight up, no problem at all, no distribution accounts for retail here in the EU. And that's why you got to be super careful in the US, because there's nothing to stop us from selling it on your eBay over the US and just arbitraging you internationally. Personally, I don't agree with it, but a lot of people do and don't have a problem doing that. And that's why it's so dangerous to buy in at way over retail in the US for $200+, because if we can pick it up for 140, I don't know the exchange rate at the moment, but I'm telling you, 140 is not going to be $200. I reckon there's some profit in there, and people will take note and start doing that and start undercutting all the US sellers. So just be very careful if you're doing that. Let's have a look at Fusion Strike then. Fusion Strike is just on a tear. We predicted it. It's just crazy. Fusion Strike is going from strength to strength. Me personally, I think it's the second best set in Sword and Shield, just behind Evolving Skies, and the price gap between Evolving Skies and Fusion Strike is too big for me, in my opinion. I think Fusion Strike is still incredibly undervalued, even with these massive pull-ups in price. I mean, you can see it going in the US from let's see, mid-November, which wasn't even that long ago. Mid-November, it was going for like $236 a box, which was still a decent price rise. Yeah, mid-November to now, it's now going for $355 last sale on TCG Player. It's just absolutely tearing up. In fact, look, $330 on the 20th, which was yesterday. $355 today. Like, people are really starting to FOMO into this set. It is sold out worldwide now. So yeah, $25 price rise in one day on TCG Player. Yeah, be careful with Fusion Strike. Like, don't, if you're considering buying into Fusion Strike, I wouldn't wait. Like, yes, there could be a bit of a dip in price after Christmas once more people get organized and start listing again, but I really don't think it's going to dip that much. And I do think Fusion Strike, even at this $300 range, $355, $330, I still think it's a good deal. And if you're willing to sit on it for 2-3 years, I think you'll do very well at it. I could easily see $500, $600 a box by the end of 2025. I don't think that's going to be that hard for it to do. It could do much better than that. I think it's just your last chance to buy into it for this kind of price range, really. We're really starting to see it accelerate up in price. Cheapest you can buy it in the UK right now is $230. I mean, it's crazy. Just a month or so ago, we could pick this up for retail from the official source for around about the 140, 150 range. Now we're at 230. Again, I think 230 is underpriced. You know, don't sit on your hands with Fusion Strike. I do think it's going to have a very, very good year. Last sold, though, you can get it a little bit cheaper, 218. Here's one that went for 200 literally today, 210 with postage, 204. So they're there, but look, they're just sold out. These are sales from this morning, 220, and now the cheapest is, yeah, what, 230 with pictures. So that's another £10. And then look, 230, then we're at 235, then we're at 244, 245, 250. Like, very quickly it's just going to jump. And I think the US market is going to do the same as well. That's actually a Lost Origin box that's sneaked in there. I don't know why when I search for Fusion Strike. Pretty interesting though. Yeah, Fusion Strike, I wouldn't sleep on it. It's already seeing massive growth. You can see the chart is just going absolutely vertical here, and I think it will continue to over the next 12 months at least. Let's have a look at Lost Origin then. Lost Origin is having a little bit of a slower creep up. Let's see, so 245 average last week to last sale is 260, 250 there, so around about $15 price rise over the last week or so. That's still about 7% price rise in 7 days. 1% a day is not bad at all in the grand scheme of things. Lost Origin is a fire set, again massively underpriced. I think 260 for a sealed Lost Origin when you got a chance of pulling that Alt Art Giratina, absolutely crazy. Still think it's massively undervalued. Price is creeping up here in the UK. Cheapest you can get it is 240. Again, I think this is all just going to look mega cheap. Actually, 235. And this guy looks pretty legit. You can see he's got cases on cases of it. He's just taking his profit from now. Respect to him. But personally, if I had cases and cases of Lost Origin, I'd be sitting on it for a little while. But he looks like a TCG. He looks like he's got distro or something like that. So fair play to him. That's part of his business, burn and turn. For the rest of us that are more collectors and sealed investors, I definitely wouldn't be selling any of my Lost Origin right now. Let's have a quick look at Astro Radiance. Astro Radiance, I've kept saying to people that it is a completely slept on set, and we're starting to see it really start to move in price now, which is great. It hasn't moved that much yet, it's still a little bit over retail, but we're really starting to see the beginnings of a run up in price. It's kind of like been last off the blocks for Sword and Shield for sort of climbing up in price, along with Silver Tempest as well. Silver Tempest is still in the starting blocks, but yeah, Astro Radiance, the reason why it hasn't taken off in price quite as quickly as some of the other sets is obviously because of the set content and the chase cards, etc. But it is still a good set, but there's just been a lot of supply around of it for the last sort of year or so. That's really drying up now, and now we're going to start to see it start to creep up in price. I really like Astro Radiance. It's a cool set. You can still pick it up relatively cheap. 190 last sale, another one for 190 here. 190, 190, 190. $190 just seems to be the going rate for it in the US right now. You can pick it up a little bit cheaper in the UK. Well, not really after the exchange rate. 180 now here in the UK for the cheapest buy it now. We could get this the other week for, like, literally just a couple of weeks ago for retail or below, it was like 140. So that's kind of crazy that that's creeped up in 2-3 weeks. It's gone up 40. And where it's like such a low price already, it's around retail price. An increase of like £40 is actually pretty huge. So £40 is going to be just over 5% price rise in a couple of weeks. Not bad at all for such a cheap to buy into set. Don't sleep on Astro Radiance. Although the fact that it was 140 a couple of weeks ago and we're now in Christmas period and the cheapest is 180, there's just not that many being sold at the moment. So I feel like 180 is a bit of a stretch here in the UK. I feel like if you wait a couple of weeks into the new year, into like the first or second week in January, I think we'll see a bit of a price drop here in the UK. You're probably going to be able to pick some up around about 160. This person is able to charge 180, like I said, just because it's Christmas period and there's not that many people listed. I had to scroll pretty far to actually just find a sealed box for sale when you sort by price. So I think 180 is a bit much here in the UK. I think it's still a good deal, but I feel like it's just supply and demand. There just isn't the supply on eBay over these next couple of weeks, just because it's the Christmas period. So that is something to bear in mind. Because look at last sales as well. So yeah, here's last sale from the 18th, which was 3 days ago, 150 on a buy it now. So 150 to 180 with postage is a bit of a jump. That's a 30 jump in like a couple of days. I would expect to see more this kind of price range, 150, 160, in the next coming weeks. Once more get listed, people finish their period and their Christmas break holiday period and start to list their product and burn and turn again. Now, that's all I'm going to talk about for sealed booster boxes this week. I didn't want to go through everything again because the figures are kind of a bit all over the place because it's the Christmas period. I just wanted to show you some of the main sort of movers that I'm keeping an eye on at the moment. I always want to, for the last part of these videos, go into like a niche sealed product as well, something that we wouldn't normally look at or track in price, and just have a look at what's going on with it. Quite often we will look at products that are less desirable because sometimes you can make crazy plays on them. And today we're going to look at Champion's Path Elite Trainer Boxes. So Champion's Path is a holiday set from Sword and Shield. It's kind of only really got one big chase card, which is the Charizard card, and it's the only one that's sort of holding any value. I really like Champion's Path though. It's a really small set, and if you don't get that hit, you're kind of you've kind of done badly. But as an actual sealed product, I think it's really cool. I love how it looks with the black design. It's got kind of the it's this kind of gold Charizard is almost in sort of like an orangey foil color. It's really nice. I've got one in the back, but it's under a load of boxes. My plan, by the way, actually, with the collection behind me, is in the new year, I'm going to wait until postage sort of sorts itself out. But I'm going to buy like some shelving to go behind, and then I'm probably going to pull out some of my older Elite Trainer boxes so that I've got room to display them there. Champions Path is going to be one of them. But yeah, Champions Path, I think it's cool. It's quite niche. Not many people have put it away for the long term. And yeah, it's just generally like a little bit hated in the hobby. And I think that that's unjustified. I really like this set. I think the sealed Elite Trainer box looks really cool. It's a holiday set, so there's no booster boxes as well. So the Elite Trainer box is the pinnacle of it. It was before booster bundles were even a thing. So the Elite Trainer box is the way to get booster packs out of it. I just think it's awesome. And even if the contents aren't amazing, like value wise for packs and what you can get card wise, just as a collectible and a display piece, the Elite Trainer box is super cool, and I think that's what's going to push it up in value over the next couple of years. Prices are kind of all over the place. I mean, we're way over retail now just because it's such an old product, but you can see it goes up and down and up and down. But this is only actually a few dollar swing each way over the last 3 months. If we go on a year, I mean, it had a bigger peak. It went up to like 120 in January of this year, and then it's just kind of stable now at around about $100. That's where a lot of these older Elite Trainer boxes sit. I know that Hidden Fates Elite Trainer box sat at $100 for the longest time, but it's just one of those cool products that I don't think you'll like ever get sort of sub $90 ever again. So if you can snipe one, maybe someone's trying to dump one, there's really not that much demand for people buying them. Although saying that, on TCG Player, look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sold for over $100 over yesterday. That's actually more than I thought it would be, but yeah, something a bit interesting. It's not really moving in price at the moment, but I could see it gaining in price over the years as a collectible. Do I think that it's a great investment? No, because your money, as I've explained, is probably better off in some sealed Sword and Shield booster boxes. I think you're going to see a better return on your investment there. It's a little bit safer. But as a niche like display piece, I just think it's super cool. I actually might buy another one of those. I've got one already, but I just like it so much I might just buy another one so that in the future I won't feel bad about selling one. I can still kind of keep one. I don't know, my brain works in a weird way. I'm sure some of the other collectors here will understand what I'm talking about. But yeah, I might buy another Champions Path Elite Trainer box if I see one go for a decent price. Here in the UK, the cheapest you can buy one right now is 80 all in, which I think is a pretty decent deal, to be honest. It's sort of like double retail, just over double retail, but it's years and years old now. So yeah, I think it retailed for like £45 back in the day, if I remember right. 45, 50. I remember there was a shortage of them for quite a while, so they were going for like 50, 55, 60. But yeah, it's slowly creeping up in price over the years. It's a fairly cheap product to buy into as well, and I just think it's really cool. So that's why I'm talking about it. Last sold, see, this is what I'm talking about. You can kind of get deals. Best offer accepted on £63. So I don't know what they paid for it. They probably paid like 60 for it, which I think is actually a really decent deal. Because there's just not that kind of demand for them, you can sometimes snipe some good deals. There's a buy it now for 68 all in. I think that's really cool. But yeah, just wanted to highlight that to you guys. So in summary, Evolving Skies has been a beast as always. Surging Sparks is incredibly overvalued. Fusion Strike is really starting to accelerate up in price. Lost Origin is creeping up. Astro Radiance is starting to turn. Champions Path is cool but a rubbish investment. And we've got 3 new sets on the horizon, including a rocket set in 2025. So hope you guys all enjoyed. Make sure you subscribe down below to never miss out on any news or never miss out on a sealed product opportunity. Have a wonderful day, have a lovely Christmas, and peace.